What Studios, and this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. Make your next thing a big one. You know, all that kind of jazz. All kinds of parties. You might need a DJ in the corner, doing some, playing some music, entertaining the people. It's what I do. It's what I enjoy doing. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, August 2nd, 2020. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, U.S. records 1,000 coronavirus deaths for fifth straight day. United States on Saturday recorded more than 1,000 coronavirus fatalities in the previous 24-hour period for the fifth consecutive day. Data collected by Johns Hopkins University revealed more than 58,000 new infections in the same span. The pandemic has continued to take a toll around the world as well. South Africa on Saturday surpassed 500,000 cases after recording more than 10,000 in a single day, while the Philippines topped 100,000 infections after medical groups in the country said, quote, "We are waging a losing battle against COVID-19, end quote. The Australian state of Victoria, home to Melbourne, declared a state of emergency Sunday and imposed new lockdown measures after a surge in infections, despite earlier optimism that the country had successfully contained the virus. This is according to the Wall Street Journal and Al Jazeera. Number 2, top Democrats' White House conclude productive coronavirus relief talks. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat California, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat New York, resumed coronavirus relief negotiations with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows on Saturday morning. The four negotiators met for several hours, and while the talks didn't result in anything tangible, Schumer and Meadows both said separately that it was the most productive meeting yet. Congress failed to reach an agreement Friday for the next iteration of the CARES coronavirus relief bill, ending the week of negotiations with frustration on all sides. Discussions will continue Sunday with staff-only meetings before Pelosi, Schumer, Mnuchin, and Meadows return to the table Monday. This is according to the Washington Post and Reuters. Number 3, tropical storm Isaias nears Florida. Rain began to lash Florida's east coast early Sunday as tropical storm Isaias approached the state, which is also dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. With sustained winds of 65 miles per hour, Isaias, which hit the Bahamas on Saturday, was downgraded from hurricane status, but is still a powerful storm, prompting Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Republican, to warn residents not to be, quote, fooled, end quote, by the downgrade. After arriving in Florida, the storm is expected to move up the east coast of the United States in the next few days, reaching all the way up to New England and bringing with it heavy rain and high winds. This is according to the Weather Channel and the Associated Press. Number 4, nearly 8,000 evacuated as wildfire burns in Southern California. Nearly 8,000 people have evacuated their homes because of a wildfire burning east of Los Angeles. The Apple Fire, which began in Riverside, California on Friday night, had burned more than 12,000 acres as of Saturday evening, and destroyed at least one home, but no injuries have been reported. The cause of the blaze is still under investigation. Dozens of engines, airports, air support, and 375 firefighters are reportedly on the scene. The Riverside County Fire Department said the fire remains 0% contained. The natural disaster is coinciding with the coronavirus pandemic, which has hit Southern California hard in recent weeks. And all evacuation centers will enforce COVID-19 protocols like temperature screenings, masks, and social distancing. This is according to CNN and Fox News. Number 5, NASA astronauts aboard SpaceX capsule en route back to Earth. SpaceX's Dragon Endeavour capsule successfully undocked from International Space Station on Saturday night, with NASA astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken aboard as they make their journey back to Earth following their multi-month stint in orbit. The duo is expected to gently splash down off the coast of Florida, well away from Tropical Storm Isaias on Sunday at 2:48 p.m., following a high-speed descent. If, as expected, the landing is successful, NASA will plan to move forward with routine SpaceX flights, perhaps as early as late September, BBC notes. That will mark a new era of spaceflight for the U.S., one in which NASA relies on private partners for transportation hardware. This is according to the BBC and NASA. Number 6, GOP convention will reportedly be closed to press. In an unprecedented move, the scaled-back Republican National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina, will reportedly be closed to the press this year, although an official said the decision is not final and press coverage options are still being considered for the August event. A convention spokesperson on Saturday said the decision was the result of, quote, health restrictions and limitations in place within, end quote, North Carolina amid the coronavirus pandemic. The Associated Press reporter Zeke Miller, the president of the White House Correspondents Association, called the decision, quote, ill-advised, end quote, since the nomination of President Trump, quote, is very much the business of the American people, end quote. If the rules are not changed, the entire convention still won't be completely private. A Republican told CNN that the proceedings on the Monday of the convention, including the vote to formally nominate Trump, will be live streamed. This is according to CNN and the Associated Press. Number 7, thousands of protesters gather outside Netanyahu's residence. Thousands of protesters gathered outside the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu official residence on Saturday in Jerusalem and his beach house near Tel Aviv, calling for him to resign over his government's handling of the coronavirus pandemic, as well as allegations of corruption for which he is facing trial. Netanyahu denies the accusations. The protests appear to be the largest in Israel since 2011. Israeli police have been criticized for using excessive force in reaction to the protesters this week. But the most recent demonstrations on Saturday evening mostly ended peacefully, despite 12 people getting arrested for, quote, causing public disturbances, end quote. Netanyahu has attempted to downplay the protests and claims the media is overstating their significance. But The Guardian notes the demonstrations have shown little sign of slowing down. Still, polls indicate the prime minister's right-wing bloc has retained support across the country. This is according to Haaretz and The Guardian. Number 8, DHS reassigns top intelligence official. The Department of Homeland Security on Saturday reassigned Brian Murphy, the acting undersecretary for the Department's Office of Intelligence and Analysis. The move comes after the Washington Post reported his office compiled intelligence briefings on journalists and protesters in Portland, Oregon over the last few weeks. Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf instructed the office to stop collecting the information and ordered an investigation into the proceedings. Murphy will reportedly take on an administrative support role within the department's management directorate. The protests, meanwhile, have continued since federal agents began to withdraw from the scene last week. The demonstrations Thursday and Friday nights were mostly peaceful, and there was reportedly little interaction with law enforcement. But the Portland Police Bureau declared an unlawful assembly Saturday night after people threw bottles at police officers outside a precinct. This is according to the Associated Press and NPR. Number 9, Marines call off search for 8 missing service members. The 1st Marine Expeditionary Force said it has called off search and rescue efforts due to find 8 United States service members who went missing after an accident involving an amphibious assault vehicle off the coast of Southern California on Thursday. The vehicle was carrying 15 Marines and 1 sailor when it reported taking on water and sank for unknown reasons in deep water. Of those on board, 8 Marines were rescued, 2 of whom are in critical condition at a hospital and 1 of whom died. The 7 missing Marines and sailor are presumed dead. AAVs are considered to be particularly vulnerable, and the Marines have sought a replacement, but they're still a cornerstone in the Corps' inventory. The New York Times reports because of their amphibious nature. This is according to the New York Times and 1st Marine Expeditionary Force. Number 10, actor Wilford Brimley dies at 85. Wilford Brimley, a character actor who appeared in films like Cocoon and The Natural, died Saturday at a hospital in St. George, Utah. He was 85. Brimley's agent said he had been sick for 2 months with a kidney ailment. Brimley had an unconventional path to acting, having worked as a blacksmith, cowboy, and ranch hand before his friend, actor Robert Duvall, convinced him to give performing a shot. His first big screen credit in The China Syndrome came at the age of 45. In addition to his roles in movies, Brimley served as the spokesman for Quaker Oats in the 1980s and the 1990s. Doesn't even mention anything about diabetes. You will be missed, Wilford Brimley. This is according to Rolling Stone and the New York Times. That's 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, August 2nd, 2020. Thank you so much for listening. This has been What Makes You Smarter. I like to do things and learn about the news, and while I'm at it, I'll read the news to you, my loyal listeners. Thank you so much for being out there. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you're up to. Subscribe, all that kind of thing. Leave a 5-star review. Yeah, I said 5 stars. All those other stars, just keep them to yourself. All right, then. If you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Well, tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time, I'll be doing the KeysDAN Show weekly roundup, so come on by. Be a part of it. You can give me a call at 501-470-6386 while I'm doing the live stream, and you can be a part of it all. Tell me what you're up to. Do it. Go ahead. I encourage you. Also, come and see me at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas on Friday nights, or the Choctaw VFW and Choctaw VFW on Saturday night. Both video dance parties and karaoke jams. That's right. You're the stars of the show. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.